Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have K.A. Oliver, former Bollywood producer, director, turned award winning novelist. She has worked with legends like Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg. And we'll learn from her a lot of things, including transitioning careers, fearlessly crafting compelling stories, and also championing female driven narratives in a male dominated industry. Welcome to the show, Kay.
Thank you. I'm honored being here. Thank you for inviting me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Kay. Welcome to India in this online form. Here we have got Bollywood. Welcome to India in this online form.
Love
And I'm
Bollywood.
sure, I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we'll be talking right now. We'll talk about all this from moving from Hollywood to working on their own novels and breaking barriers in this whole process. But before this story, let's talk about your story, your journey, your background, Kay, so that people know who they are listening to.
Absolutely. I began my career after getting degrees in radio, TV, film, and got a master's degree in business. And from there, I went and started working in news and smaller television stations. And then eventually I got a job at Universal Studios working for the late, great Lew Wasserman, who at one time was Ronald Reagan's agent and Jimmy Stewart's agent. And then he started overseeing the studio, and that was great. Then from there, I ended up at DreamWorks, which is Steven Spielberg and David Katzenberg. And I'm sorry, David Geffen and Jeffrey Katzenberg. I just put two people together and enjoyed working there, writing and working in consumer products. And then I took the leap into writing my own novels because I was told that the screenplays I would write had strong, independent female characters. And then, even though it's improved a little bit now, they would say that strong female characters are not marketable. And I can't understand that. So I took my creative talents and put them into novels, and have been named award-winning novelist. I have over 25 awards out of my 10 books I have out now, and made fiction author of the year through the International Association of Top Professionals. So that is part of my background.
Absolutely, absolutely. So don't you miss those lights of Hollywood to the silence of novel writing? Help us understand this part. A lot of people will find this part of transition very difficult.
No. So, when everybody who doesn't work in Hollywood sees it as very glamorous, very lights, brights, and you're working with well-known people, the lights and glamour only happen when you're walking on the red carpet at an awards show or a premiere, and then you are gussied up and glued together and taped together. And if we're in California, you go to the Emmy Awards or whatever award show, it's earlier in the day. And if it's a hot day, your makeup is sweating. So the glitz and glamour is non-existent when you're working on a film or a TV show. And the people you work with are like people you work with anywhere. Even the big name people, you might have some people who see themselves as mini gods, and you might want to stay away from them unless that's something you're into. But otherwise, they're people like you and me doing a job. And generally on a movie, the shortest part of the movie is the filming of the movie. The pre-production and post-production take the longest time. So I love post-production. I started as an editor, and that's where you put all the pieces together of the puzzle. You add the music that, gives it that tone and feeling. And so no, I don't miss it. And the other thing is, what I don't miss is I have total creative control over my books, right? I have total creative control where in the motion picture industry or television industry, you have executives and producers and everybody else who's chiming in on how something turns out. You're not totally in control on how something turns out, even as a director and producer sometimes. There's been times where a studio was sold. They start making a film, you get it green lighted by one set of executives. The studio gets sold while you're making the film. It takes 2 to 3 years to make, and the new executives want something different, and you have to go in and edit. So, no, I don't.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can hear it very well. One thing I want to understand then, you said about women-centric roles in Hollywood. They want more of male-dominated roles. So those women-centric roles do not sell in Hollywood, but women-centric novels, they work fine. How does that work? Kay, help us understand this part of
Well,
this. Means isn't it a bit uh, uh, intriguing?
it's intriguing, yes, because um, women-centered roles would sell in Hollywood if the men knew how to make them. The reason I say that way because it's a male-dominated industry, and women haven't been paid the same amount as men. So we're trying to get that going so that we can start our own production companies and make our own movies. Because have some Barbie led the market last year. Right. So, we can get those movies out there if they know how to make them. Women like movies differently than men do. Right. So Hallmark, of course, I'm not a holiday Hallmark person, but I know a lot of women who love the Hallmark movies, right? And now they've already started, I'm pretty sure, the Christmas movies. That grew and grew and grew and grew. And I think Hollywood's missing the step, much like the NFL. The NFL for years did not have women attire. And yet I've been an NFL fan since high school, a long time ago. And, all of a sudden now they're starting to have V-necks and women's fashions you can buy on the NFL shop. And they missed that boat for years. And that's a shame. But I think, because books sell so well for women, they need to look at that and get some. I can tell when I'm watching a show that is all male writers, right? You look at the show and you go, okay, that's not how women act. That's not what women do. And they're not relatable to other women. And, they need to always make sure that they have that mix when they're making a movie, and they don't always do that.
Right. So it's nothing to do with the audience or the readers. It is they like everything, but it's just the Hollywood. Some of the Hollywood people, they do not get this understanding what people want.
Right. They
Is it
don't
like that?
market. Yeah. They don't market the women's movies as like they do the men's movies. The same is true right now. We're having that basketball with women's, right? The WNBA. They started advertising and talking more about it, and then all of a sudden the audience grew exponentially. But before that, they never really even mentioned, the women's baseball or women's basketball or anything like that. But now that they talk about it, it's just going crazy, right? So, it depends on if they're advertising it, if they're, talking about it. And if they did that, they'd have the same response with women's films.
Right. So tell us about your novels. What are they generally about? You've written, you said, around 10 of them, and the latest is Ice Cream Moments. We'll come to the Ice Cream Moments separately, but tell us generally about your novels.
Yes, yeah. Most of my novels are cozy mystery types, which what we call hard-boiled cozy mystery. So they're not, light and gentle. There is action and shooting and attempted murders and things like that, or solving a murder and then finding out the murderer's still alive and he's going after you. So they're action-packed female novels is what they are, and for the most part. And then I have Ice Cream Moments and Road to Elysium. Road to Elysium is inspired by a true event, and it talks more about getting a second chance at life, how a knee-jerk reaction to a question can change your life when you've lost all hope. And then Ice Cream Moments is also one about lost hope and love and caring. So I like the theme of intelligent women who find themselves, everybody has flaws, so they have flaws as well. And they generally have a partner who respects who they are, respects their mind and their intelligence, and, and are playful and loving and respect each other and go through whatever is happening in the novel together.
Right, right. Okay, so you talked about intelligent women. Who is an intelligent woman? The women of today, is she the ideal woman that women have been wanting to come to? Is this the place that everything has finally come or arrived? Is this the moment for women in history? Their time has arrived. Who is this the ideal woman of today?
Yeah, well, women of today, they were women of the past as well. They just weren't acknowledged, like you said, because women have invented so much stuff that people don't realize. And, so they've been smart all along. We're just now not putting up with being called other things and showing our intelligence. When I grew up, my mom said, you can't be more intelligent than the guy you're dating. So dumb down what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me, so here I am single. Yeah. But, women are highly intelligent. They are now making their own incomes, not putting up with a lot of stuff. There's still a lot of abuse on women, because of actual physical differences. But, yeah, I think we're just done putting up with the so-called, image that we're supposed to be. And we've decided we're going to be ourselves. We're going to be us, me, and I have no problem showing my intelligence. It bothers some people, right? It bothers some people and it doesn't bother others. So it doesn't matter.
Of course, intelligence has to be shown. You are intelligent. You will be, even if you hide it, it will be seen as soon as someone opens their mouth. And so that's a difficult thing to do. How do you hide your intelligence? It's very almost impossible to do, especially in today's time. But let's look at this in today's. Your latest work is Ice Cream Moments, and there you talk about family dynamics. So a bit of shift from the normal novels that you write, and you also talk about empathy which is missing in our today's time. Either you can say social media or AI or so many other things that we are dealing with.
Absolutely. Ice Cream Moments is about a man who's lost his wife and he has two sons, and a neighbor's little girl comes over and always wants to tinker with him in the garage, and he's fine with that. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or a boy tinkering with him. And something happens to her parents, and he takes her under his wing and adopts her. But what he goes through when that's happening, and what she goes through when it's happening, and then he confesses to his children that at one point he was actually adopted, and they never really knew that. And it brings up all that discussion, and he realizes the difference between when his kids went to school and he had a wife and she did everything, and now he's adopting a young girl many, many years later. Schools have changed. Everything's online. And he keeps thinking, oh my gosh, I have to figure this stuff out because my wife's no longer alive. My wife did all this stuff. So they go through it together.
Right. And talking of women, talking of about family, empathy, what do you think now going forward? Earlier, there used to be villains from different, shapes and sizes, countries, but now even that Cold War is over, and so many new things have come up. Artificial intelligence have come up. So how do you think going forward, if you look at it from a point of Hollywood, how would their movies be? Will it be just, male-dominated movies with no villains in that sense, and it will be all animation sort of a thing? How do you think this whole storytelling business is going on, will go forward in Hollywood and outside Hollywood on the, on the different type of genres that you write?
Yeah, there's several factors in that. And as we know, we just did the writer's strike and the actor's strike because of AI, really, because, AI doesn't have the emotion and the feelings that humans have. And, AI is good for how to do books, but not to really write an emotional story. So and they fought for keeping the writers in play and the actors as well. There has been a lot of technology changes. When I started, the cameras were huge. You carried a battery pack, which was huge, and you didn't have your camera on a phone. So the entry point into Hollywood has changed. TikTok is a great place that you might be having some new directors on TikTok right now, but so making and creating the films will become, I think, easier for everybody to do. And those that are good at it will succeed. And I think we'll have more platforms in the future. But that human element, is vital to telling good stories. There's a couple of films out there, as you know, that are AI created, but they're still voiced by people at this time. But James Cameron's movie definitely is AI. And there are movies where all the background is AI. Everything's on a green screen, and you don't have to build all those sets. So Hollywood will go through a change as the industry around the world, and there'll be more access, I think. But I don't think you can really replace the human element of it yet. Definitely not yet. In the future, yes. So if you look at Shrek 2 and then Shrek 3, just between those two films or any other one, the skin on Shrek has changed from 1 to 2 to 3, and it looks much more realistic in 3, right? So the animation will look more realistic, and we'll get there. Hopefully we'll always use humans, and they always have a spot. But when I first started in Hollywood and started seeing the technology change, I used to say, at one point, we'll sell your image and they'll use your image in movies. And, I don't know if we'll get there. We might, but I'd hate to see the loss of working with other people. So, the type of requirements to get into Hollywood will be more technical than they were originally. It's already there. We're already there. You can shoot
Absolutely.
a good film on a camera and edit it at home. So
Absolutely. And I don't know whether it is, we can call it democratization of technology or something, but the way it looks like from a layman's perspective, okay, I see that from tomorrow I can also create an avatar of myself, put it into something much more fancy, and then you go to Sora by OpenAI, you create some visuals of streets, paste everything together, and you have a movie, say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you can release it wherever you want, not in that grand style, but in some style. At least it will be a movie, it will be a good video without you doing maybe some bit of money here and there. And that is where the future looks like to be, and especially with people who have got great ideas, your ideas which earlier you could not fructify, but today you can create movies and release them. If you that looks like to be not the future, not so distant future, but very close by. How do you see this part?
absolutely. I'll tell you that I make my own book trailers because I worked in Hollywood and I edit. And you can take a picture of yourself walking, put it into AI and say, have me walking in the jungle, have me walking on a New York street, have me walking, and it fills in the background and everything. So yeah, we're there. We're there. But AI still have, you have to look at AI because sometimes, the hand will have too many fingers, or the shadows or the shirt's not right, and it cuts it off and you have to go in and play with the image. But, we'll get there for sure.
We will
Absolutely.
get absolutely. So, in terms of storytelling, then, what shape and size will storytelling remain in the days to come? Means, who is a writer then? How do you keep being a writer? Will the only differentiator in a real writer will be that you can feel, you can write it out, but AI can't. But they say AI can also now reach that level. Sentience is not far away.
Right, right. I totally understand what you're asking and saying. Yeah, so right now it's still a lot of humanity. You put a lot of humanity into your story. You build a character. You make that character whole and round. AI doesn't know that character. You know that character. Um, we know about human flaws. It will write right currently now. It'll say, X, Y, Z happened. It won't say, oh, and in the middle of that, she tripped and everybody started laughing, which is very human. AI won't do that yet. I don't know if it will in the future add that humanity bit to it. It will say that, she was surprised. Well, in writing, you don't write she was surprised. You write her eyes went big. She was shocked. Her hands went up. And that's what you do as a writer. You describe the emotion, and AI doesn't do that at this time. So there is, a lot of humanity that goes into writing books of even fiction. You have to have fact with fiction to make it sound almost real, right? You can't really go way out there unless the whole story is way out there. So AI doesn't do that yet.
Right, right, Kay. So let me ask you one thing. You work with some top people, some great names there. So what was it like working with those people? Was it because their movies were that came out, at the end they became famous, and that people were watching the final product and it was the culmination of all the efforts? Or is it the way they thought, or is it the way they conducted themselves? What was so great about these great men that you work with?
Well, Lou Wasserman and Jeffrey Katzenberg, I kind of put them in the same group, are inventors. They don't just make films. They improve film quality. They improve how to make films. They improve things about films. Lou Wasserman came up with the back end points payment, for studios, where you pay so much money up front for an actor or actress, or other above the line, and then you pay them based on the gross, the money the film makes, and that's points at the back end, so you don't have to pay all the money up front. I mean, innovation like that. Jeffrey Katzenberg's innovation on improving animation, making animation, better, quicker to come out. It used to take years and years and years to get an animated film out. And that's great because they're, contributing and changing the world for, being more productive and more open. And then, marketing, if you have a good agent, they're going to market you no matter who you are, and you're going to be out there. And Spielberg is a great commercial. He Schindler's List was his baby, his pride, his passion. But overall, a lot of his films are commercial and they're well marketed. They have lots of products to go with them, and his thing, he kind of, studying him is he likes to take a laugh and turn it to a scream, or a scream to a laugh. And I kind of do that in my books. I picked that up from him. So, but most often it's what they're doing in the industry and how they're doing it. Some market themselves. Yeah, there's some that, when people ask me about a certain actor or actress, and if they're very close friends, I'll go, yeah, not a great person. But then there's people you think aren't great people, and they are. So it goes either way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So your journey, if you look at in hindsight, what would you give your the most credit for? Is it hard work, your thought process, or your belief in yourself? How do you look at the days gone by?
Uh, yes, I belief in myself and trust in myself. Two different things. Um, I definitely have always wondered, how can I do this? Or I can do this. And then I learned how to do it. Um, I was sitting at home and watching TV when I was trying to figure out what degree I wanted. And some show was on, and I said, I can do that. I can do that and do that better. And so, I do that. And I don't worry about other people's opinions because you're always going to have someone who tells you can't do something. Um, I have a supportive group around me in my life that I've chosen because you choose your friends. You can't choose family, but you can choose your friends. And, and they're very supportive. And, I bounce ideas off of them and them me. And, that is what I think I credit everything to. I've always looked forward. I don't look backwards, and I don't really hang on to things I did wrong or messed up or failed at, because that is a step of learning. If you don't fail, Henry Ford went bankrupt. Some of our greatest actors failed out of medical school, so you never know where your life's going to put you on this journey, and you have to believe and trust in yourself.
Absolutely believe and trust in yourself. There is so much to learn from you, Kay. And so, how about the idea of an autobiography? You have already, or is it already out there? You've written several books. Is an autobiography? It's time for an autobiography. How does that look like, or is something else you have planned?
Uh, I don't know if I'd ever write an autobiography. Um, though people have told me I should write about some of the stuff that I did in Hollywood, and every once in a while I'll leak out a little tidbit or this or that happened. But for the most part, I like writing fiction.
Right. There
Oh
is
no,
so
you
much
can't.
to learn. Right. There is much to learn about all these things about Hollywood, about your writing and all. But what about Bollywood? You said you love Bollywood. How much have you ever interacted with many people in Bollywood, or only or any names that you can remember in Hollywood, especially in Bollywood?
Oh Lord, the list is long. I was there about almost 3 decades, and yeah, there's a number of people that I've worked with in Hollywood that are what I call well knowns. Um, I know everybody else calls them celebrities. I call them well knowns because they're just well known. Um, I about I have a hard time because to me a Spielberg or a Katzenberg or a Wasserman is at the top of the pyramid, and actors and the people that most people want to know about are down lower. you know. And I guess I respect people more like a Kevin Costner who produces, writes, and acts and directs in a film. And when they do all of that, they're 360. They're well rounded. I love Billy Baldwin. I think he's fantastic. Um, Michael J. Fox was great to work with on Back to the Future. So there's Julia Roberts. I really liked her. Um, and there's a lot of people. Kurt Russell and his significant other Goldie Hawn are a fantastic pair. So there's they're people like you and me. You've got great people in life, and are great to work with. Angels is what we like to call them. And like Tom Hanks has a new film coming out today I think, called Here, and he's with Bob Zemeckis or Robert Zemeckis, a great director who did Forrest Gump, so among many other films. And so it's I like the creativity of it, and I think I like the creatives, as I call them, creatives, and have a lot of fun. So Hollywood and messing up, you can laugh at if you mess up a line, if you mess up a shot, if you mess up something. In corporate America, if you mess up something, they get called into HR. So that's the kind of difference, but it's still storytelling on a different format, right? So Hollywood, you see everything. If you want to say this character is strategic, you show a chessboard in the scene, right? You don't mention it, but it's there. If you want that in a book, you've got to describe that. So that's the difference, right? One's visual and one, is your imagination working at full time.
Absolutely. And any names in from Bollywood? Anybody you ever met or comes to mind?
Yeah, all those people I just mentioned, I've met or worked with. Um,
Not
there's
Hollywood, Bollywood, Indian
Oh,
version.
Bollywood. No, I've not met people from Bollywood. There's some I'd like to meet, but I haven't met them. I love the films. Oh my gosh. Um, there was a gentleman years ago who did 2 or 3 Bollywood films that I just thought was the greatest. And I can't think of his name at the moment, but yeah, I love the Bollywood films. I watched them. I know that Jeffrey Katzenberg was interested in starting a studio over there, I believe. So I don't know if he did or not, but yeah, that would have been great.
Absolutely. There is much to learn and understand about storytelling, about Hollywood, about writing and all this. And I'm sure a lot of people would be interested to get in touch with you to do more about all the things that you did or are doing, your forthcoming book and everything. So what's the best way for them to connect with you, Kay?
On my website, which is my name, it is kaoliver.com. So KAYAOLIVER.com. And all my books are there, and my media, my other podcasts, and all media is on that site. And also, if you're thinking about becoming a writer, I have a blog that's free, and it is about writing tips, how to create characters, how to write in your own voice, all of that.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I've had a wonderful time.